Have you guys ever wondered why the American dream, the whole go to college, get the job, buy the house, start a family script, sometimes feels more like a nightmare? Why do some people feel like they're running in place while others are absolutely crushing it? I'm Devin Gisbert, and I'm on a journey to build something that lasts. And for the past 3 years, I've studied the games the rich play, how they manage their assets, and I've learned what works and what doesn't work. In this video, we're diving deep into pulling back the curtain on the American dream itself, exploring what parts still work, where it's broken, and what other roads we might be able to take. By the end, you'll have a better understanding of what conventional strategies other builders are using to facilitate success in 2025. Let's dive in. So before we do anything, I just want to give you guys a weekend review of what we've done for these past 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since I shot my last video. And for those of you who've been following me up until this point, fantastic. For anyone who hasn't, here's a recap. So what did we accomplish these past 2 weeks? After I took the test, the insurance test, I'm not immediately licensed. So I had to apply for my license. I got licensed in 10 states and I'm waiting on Georgia currently. So once you get the job, you have to get certified in anti-money laundering because I would be held responsible in the case somebody is laundering money and I send in their application. And now in process, I'm trying to get contracted by multiple insurance companies. By next week, I'll be dialing and starting to help people get coverage for their families. Okay. So with that said, that's the quick recap. What lessons were learned here? Guys, stack your wins. If you have a small win, I got 1 subscriber on YouTube, right? It seems like nothing, but that's a win for me, right? I'll take it. Go subscribe. Another lesson is there will always be more work, but there won't always be more time. If you need to get rest and you don't like waking up at 4 in the morning, don't do it. Just unless you absolutely need to. If you have to wake up at 4, then by all means, do it. Do what you need to do to put food on the table. But if you need to get rest, you need your 8 hours, get 8 hours of sleep. If you want to spend time with your family, go spend time with your family. Just know that whatever it is you want to do in this life and how you want to spend your time, you have to do, and Alex Hormozy always says this, if your goal is to be a billionaire, you have to do what's required to be a billionaire, right? The world doesn't care about you. You're going to have to do what's required to get to that goal. And it's always going to require more of you. It's always going to take more of you. Really just consider the cost of what it is you're doing before you do it. Now, what we came to talk about, the American dream / nightmare. What is it really? So if you're anything like me, why I like talking about this stuff, because it digs deeper into what are people after. Are they after the house? Are they after the kids? Are they after marriage for the sake of those things? Or do they want something deeper? Do they want independence? Do they want companionship? The real question is, if that's what we want, how do we do these things without doing it the traditional way? Maybe the traditional way isn't what's working anymore. So let's talk about it. Alternative path number 1, education without the debt. College is a huge investment in both time and money. And for many, the increasing cost of education just doesn't guarantee the payoff it once did. But that doesn't mean you have to stop learning. So one powerful alternative here is finding a mentor, someone who's already crushing it in the field you're interested in. Offer to work with them, shadow them, learn directly from their experience. And that real world hands-on experience can be absolutely invaluable. So another fantastic option is online courses and boot camps. So these are often shorter, more specialized programs, and they focus on in-demand skills like coding, design, marketing, and the best part, they're a fraction of the cost of a 4-year degree and more directly tied to specific job opportunities. So here's the data. In the tech world, coding boot camps and similar programs often have job placement rates between 70 and 90%. That's a pretty strong return on a much smaller investment. And according to NACE, or the National Association of Colleges and Employers, 50% of employers say they value skills and experience over a college degree when they're hiring. So we're definitely seeing more people in creative fields and tech thriving after taking this kind of route. We're seeing it's more about getting the right knowledge and skills and not necessarily about the traditional piece of paper we're used to. Alternative path 2. Rethinking homeownership. With skyrocketing prices and a widening income gap, it's becoming increasingly out of reach for a lot of people. So here are a few options if you're not dead set on buying. Co-ownership. Pooling resources with friends and family to purchase a property can make homeownership accessible. Look into house hacking, buying a multi-unit property like a duplex or triplex and renting out part of it to offset your mortgage costs. Now, if you're set on buying, becoming a savvy buyer and exploring creative financing can significantly shift your home ownership prospects. One key is to look at expired listings and properties with high days on market. These sellers might be more motivated to negotiate with you. Another powerful tool to consider is seller financing. So when the homeowner has paid off their mortgage, they can act as the bank, giving you the property in turn for monthly payments, potentially offering more flexible terms than a traditional mortgage. That means lower interest rates and lower down payments. It may require more research and a good attorney, but it may be worth it to look into. Also, learn to count properties by analyzing recently sold homes that are similar to the one you're looking to buy in that area. Understanding the true market value empowers you to negotiate effectively. For example, a home that is facing or siding a highway or commercial lot may be worth much less than a home that isn't. Or a home that's 2 stories versus 1 story is worth significantly more. Now, whether you're pursuing traditional financing or exploring options like seller financing, it's important to know the value of what you're buying. Zillow prices are often inflated and assessments can be outdated. So by using these smart buying tricks and being open to alternative financing, the dream of a place to call home can become much more of a reality. So alternative path 3, rethinking marriage and relationships. So how can we rethink relationships? Around 40 to 50% of marriages in the US end in divorce. Those who wait till their late 20s or 30s to marry tend to have lower divorce rates. So maybe it's less about finding the perfect partner and more about commitment to growth together. Relationships take work. So focusing on mutual growth, forgiveness, communication, and offering each other that grace through the inevitable ups and downs is key, whether you're married or in a long-term partnership. So remember the vows, for better, for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health. Let's also challenge the idea that singleness is just a waiting period. It can be an incredibly empowering time for self-discovery. So pursuing your own passions, traveling the world, building strong foundations for whatever comes next. And whether you're single or in relationships, therapy and personal growth practices are increasingly becoming more recognized as essential tools for building healthy and fulfilling connections. So regular check-ins, whether with a therapist or with your partner, can help navigate those challenges and foster that deep understanding of one another. And finally, alternative path 4, rethinking parenthood. Let's talk about building a family. So a quick disclaimer, I'm not a parent, so it's difficult for me to speak into this without some outside help. All right, so I texted a few friends that are parents just to get their perspective. Important to note, they're all at different stages of parenthood. So some are new parents, some have 1 kid, some have multiple kids. For some, both parents are in the home, and others, they're parenting separately, which made for great feedback. So here's the general consensus. I asked 6 questions that got to the root of the good, the bad, and the ugly, but more importantly, what they've learned in the process. Okay, so first question. What's one piece of traditional parenting advice you've disagreed with or done differently? Spare the rod, spoil the child. From the perspective of the parent, they said that tends to bring disconnect. The origins of that idea is that a shepherd uses a rod to keep sheep on the right path rather than for physical punishment. There's this whole idea of positive reinforcement, right? And it's like a boundary that you set as a parent to make sure that your child is going down the right path. You want them to experiment and be able to understand and learn from the world around them, but you also want to guide them through that process, which is where I think they're coming from here. So another traditional piece of advice, you are your child's parent, not their friend. So coming from the parent's perspective, you lose out on that connection. It may not be your primary role to be their friend. Maybe your primary role is to be their guardian or their provider or their teacher, but there should certainly be an aspect of friendship. When you look at what friendship is, it's such a strong connection. It helps you understand the other person at a different level than a parent would or a teacher would or a guardian would. And so being able to be multifaceted in that way as a parent is important. So here's another traditional saying. Children should be seen, not heard. From the perspective of the parent, they seem to have gone the opposite way here. They said to let them voice their thoughts to provide critical thinking skills. So let them voice their thoughts. Let them talk about what they want to talk about so they can better understand their own thoughts and they can better communicate them. And then another was spanking is an absolute last resort. I mean, at the end of the day, you never want to hurt your kids, right, as a parent, but sometimes the things that they're doing may hurt them even more. And so, again, I'm not a parent, but this also makes sense to me. Question 2. So what's one thing you've learned about yourself since becoming a parent? Children will show you the best and the worst of you and test your patience. So there also seems to be a recurring theme here too about testing who you are, like looking in the mirror and growing as an individual. I have more strength and patience than I ever knew. Learn something new every day. Need more patience and self-control. So really just reflecting on who you are. You're learning more about you when you become a parent. And that's why I admire parents, because that chapter of your life really does test you. It's probably the best investment you can make. It's generational. It's long lasting. You're investing in someone else's life. You're giving your life for somebody else's. What is the hardest part about being a parent today? Distractions, constant need to have entertainment, the next best thing, the next sporting event. It strains the attention that you have to give your kids. They're learning to be disciplined with their attention so they could teach their kids to do the same. Feeling judgment and guilt by others around that may not share that experience or sympathy. Maybe you are disciplining, you're in a situation where you have to discipline your child out in public. Others may not agree with that. Being able to have confidence in how you and your significant other, or maybe it's just you, how you've decided to parent is crucial here. And lastly, outside influences that you can't protect them from. Exposure to certain things at an early age. And that's totally understandable. It's actually a big reason why a lot of people don't have kids, is because of the environment that they're being brought into, right? There's so much at their disposal. How do you navigate those things as a parent? I heard one of my friends say this one time: you can't protect them from everything, right? But you can show them and you can guide them on how to navigate through those things themselves. So when they do encounter it, they're already aware of it. It's not a surprise to them. And you've already instilled those principles at a young age. Again, I'm not a parent, but these are the things that are being told to me. Okay, so next question. What do you enjoy most about parenting? We get to be kids again in many ways. Every day is an adventure. Seeing the impact you have, watching them learn, grow, and explore the world, right? So you're getting this picture of when you are a parent, it's a beautiful thing. Not only are you learning more about yourself, but now you get to experience a whole new part of life that is vastly different from the day-to-day. Doing something new that's outside of your comfort zone, that's stretching you and testing you and challenging you. It's not for the faint of heart, but for those of you who have that skill set, go for it. What's one thing you thought parenting would be like before you had kids that turned out to be very different? Said to myself, I'm great with kids, love kids. You underestimate the demands it has on you. In other words, having 3 children that are neurodivergent, they expected to have neurotypical children, and it's a whole different adventure, a whole different set of challenges when they're neurodivergent. So that's what they're explaining here. I thought parenting would be about discipline and structure, but it's an ebb and flow, and I love that. It's about catering to the needs of your child and knowing their strengths and weaknesses, which are different for everyone. So last question, guys. What is one piece of advice you would give someone who's not a parent but wants to be? What is it about parenting that you've learned that you want to pass on to someone else? There's so much advice, patterns, and rules. It's one thing to become a parent by title, but it's another to be one in character. The closer we are to our heavenly parent, the better we will be as earthly parents. Love that. Be confident in what you and your significant other have decided works for you and your family. Ignore the noise. So going back to discipline, say you're in a situation where people are, giving you the eye or judging you, for no apparent reason. Maybe they don't know the situation you're in and you have to discipline your child in public. Be confident in that. Stand firm in what you guys have decided to do and what works best for you. Constantly work on yourself. You will make mistakes, but always be willing to grow. So if you're a new parent, you're going into this, the way I would read this is you're going to mess up. Just expect it and learn from it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give my perspective as someone who isn't a parent. I would say that I really enjoy freedom of choice. If I want to go and pursue something, I can do it. If I need to go on vacation, I can do it. We have 2 dogs, so it's still a little difficult and there's still a responsibility there. But I think with kids, there's a big difference, right? If we do just want to have kids, we could do that. And so freedom of choice, I think, is huge. You get back your time. And so for those of you who do want kids and have the capacity for it, go for it. In summary, I think having kids is absolutely a beautiful thing to do in your life. But for those of you who are married and don't have kids, or for those of you who are single and don't have kids and want kids, or maybe you can't have kids, right? Don't look down on that. I think there's beauty. There's so much beauty there too. I think the last thing I'll say and the last point I'll make is you can find purpose in pretty much anything, right? I could find purpose in my job. I could find purpose in having kids. I could find purpose in my marriage. When you do that, when you're looking at your whole purpose as being a parent, as being a hard worker, as being a provider, when that's your whole purpose, you're looking for it to fulfill something that it can never fulfill. Anytime you do that, you're going to be disappointed by the thing because it's not going to fulfill that part of you. The only way we can be fulfilled, I mean, this is what I believe genuinely, is by going back to our Creator. Think about it. Everything that we have has been given to us. We're just managers of those things. When we find our purpose with our Creator, in line with our Creator, who knows what's good for us, who has a plan and a purpose for us, to prosper us and not to harm us, to give us a hope and a future, then we can be truly fulfilled. And so whether you are a parent or whether you're not a parent, know that you can find beauty in those things. All right, guys. So if that was at all helpful to you, please like and subscribe. It helps me get the word out there. It's the only thing I'm going to ask of you. And if you want to follow me on my journey, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, all the socials. Love you guys. Over and out. Peace. Me on my socials. You can subscribe. Oh my goodness. The tongue ties. What?